All my life I grew up in a Hispanic household, and I grew up around people and everyone always called me, oh, the Hispanic, la Dominicana. Everyone knew I was Hispanic. And I didn't really mind it because I was used to it. I thought, sure, I'm Hispanic and I should be proud of that. And I never really thought there was a problem until I went to Dominican Republic with my family. Once I got there, everyone started looking at me differently, and I didn't know why until my cousins came up to me and they were like, oh, you're a gringa, you live in America, your life is so good. I just sat there and I was wondering why they said that. They didn't know me enough to say that. They didn't know who I was. So why is it that when I'm in America, everyone calls me a Hispanic, and when I go to Dominican Republic, everyone says, oh, you're a gringa? I feel that at this time, no one should be judging anyone but from how they are or what they look, because they don't know you enough to say that. And if you're going to say something about someone, take the time to, because you don't know who they are.
Why should I be labeled for who I am? And why should I fit into something that I obviously wouldn't fit into? Hispanic and I, we just don't match. And I've been learning this throughout my whole years, and now I'm just believing in it. I don't remember the last time I actually had a decent meal with a group gathering of Hispanics. And it's kind of weird. I usually sit down and watch what's going on. I'm mostly the observer rather than the talker. I keep my mouth shut. I don't want to say anything stupid. My parents never taught me, and I feel like I ended up abandoning that part of my life. I would ask why, but why should I ask? Why should I learn? Who am I? If you would take the time to ask me this, I would just shrug. I can't say I'm Hispanic. I can't say that I'm white. I'm just whoever I am, and it's not amazing, and it's not special. It's kind of boring. I'm boring, and everything about me is basically boring. My father always asks me, why can't you learn? You're in school. Aren't you supposed to be learning? It's been a few years, and I've taken Spanish before, but I just can't get the grip on it. My grandmother speaks Spanish. She doesn't know a lot of English, so my dad usually has to end up translating it for me. Why can't you learn? He asks this again. He laughs again, then I'm silent. And when I end up trying to express some of my heritage, I'm questioned. I remember when I used to live in Pennsylvania, and me and my friends, we were just talking, and I asked for a blanket, but I said sabana instead, and they gave me a questionable look. And then when I told them the meaning to it, they said that they didn't know I was Spanish, and I guess apparently I didn't know either. How can someone learn Spanish when they haven't been taught throughout the years? And why should I try to teach myself it when I've been teaching myself everything? Taught myself to write, to draw, to read, to do math. Why should I add on to the struggles of diverse languages? My mother blames me. She said that it's my fault that I'm not learning, and that if I really wanted to learn, then I would have been speaking it already. I always question, is it really my fault? Did I say to the world that I didn't want to learn? I've taken Spanish, I've taken French, I've taken Italian. I watch anime, which is in Japanese, and I have to read subtitles to be able to understand. Does this mean automatically that I know Japanese? I don't think so. I may be seen as Hispanic, I may be seen as white, but none of that matters to me. You can't label a duck to be Hispanic or Italian. No matter what, I am who I am at the end of the day. I'm just me.
Hi, my name's Allie, and I am not Hispanic, but my best friend is. So, before high school, I didn't have a diverse group of friends, meaning we all had the same ethnic background. But when I got to high school, I met this girl that I'm really glad to call my best friend, and she's Hispanic, and meeting her opened my eyes up to the great culture that all Hispanics share. And it was a very short time before we started acting like sisters. I started going to her house and eating dinner with her friends and family, and I ate the food all Hispanics ate. The food was full of so many different flavors that I hadn't experienced before. It was spicy and sweet at the same time. It was like an explosion in my mouth. And her family was very open to me. Even though they never met me, they acted as if they'd known me for my whole life. And this was really new to me too, because I never knew that there could be such open people that could treat you as their own daughter. Eating their food and being with them felt as if I shared their same culture. Now I have this friend that I'm really glad to call my best friend. And I learned that it doesn't matter what culture you belong to, because in the end, we're all part of one big family.
So Hispanic culture hasn't always been a part of my life, and it wasn't until a couple of years ago that I found out that I was Argentinian. It's kind of a stretch, so the rest of my family doesn't really embrace it as much as other people. My great-grandmother on my mom's side was like full-blown Argentinian, but she married white, and future generations of daughters married white until they were white. So most of my friends were Hispanic growing up, and the words that I would always hear, like, oh, gringo this, gringo that, and I never knew what that meant. So it took me forever to figure out that gringo meant white boy. When I found out that everybody was calling me white boy, and by then I realized that I was Argentinian. So I just wanted to tell people, like, oh, well, no, you're wrong. I'm not a white boy. I'm part Argentinian. But then it was like, when you told somebody, it was, well, no, you're not really Hispanic because your great-grandmother was Argentinian and you're white, the rest of you. So it was like a battle between me and everyone that was Hispanic, basically, all my friends, like, oh, well, you're not Hispanic. And it was when I would be in Spanish class and I would say something in Spanish, the teacher would be like, oh, that sounds really good. That sounds really good. You're doing really well at this. Are you Hispanic? And then people would answer to me like, no, you're not. He's not Hispanic. I think it was 8th grade when the first person that found out that I was Argentinian actually said, oh, yeah, that's really cool. You're Hispanic. I never knew you were Hispanic. So I was like, yeah, I'm Hispanic, but if I'm not asked, like, oh, are you Hispanic, then I'm not really going to tell anybody because it seems like it's something that's unnecessary. Like, if we're all a community and you're my friend, then why does it matter to you or to anybody else what my heritage is? If I believe in Hispanic culture and if I embrace it, then that's the end of it.
Growing up as a half Hispanic, half white kid isn't easy. Growing up as a half Hispanic, half white homosexual male is even harder. Now, don't get me wrong, I love my culture, but with the whole tradition thing comes a lot of ideologies. So, I'm Hispanic, but the white half of myself kind of got disconnected along the way. But I do remember growing up in my abuelita's house, and I remember listening to her gossip about the women at church, smelling the rich aromatic food on the stove, and just being a little kid. So I've always been expected to be manly and machismo, and so I always was expected to be cute, but quiet, manly, but not too rough, and most of all, Hispanic, not white. To me, being Hispanic is about not only being Hispanic, it's also allowing your other many colors to shine through. Now, as puberty and my body started to develop and my personality settled in, a lot of things drastically changed. I didn't want to be like the other Puerto Rican boys in my family. I didn't want to be like my cousin Papo and be an all-star baseball player. I didn't want to be like my cousin David and play football. And I did not want to be like my dad and be on the swim team. I just wanted to be me. My passion was the arts, and that wasn't very acceptable in my family. It was kind of the gay thing. And then I remember in my sophomore year of high school, I auditioned for the school musical Rent, and I got casted as Angel. Now, if you're not too familiar with Rent, like the movie or the play, Angel is this drag queen who is also Hispanic and suffers from the disease AIDS. Now, Angel is this confident, sassy character who basically embodies everything that I stand for. She's confident, she's really sweet, and she knows how to keep a group of people together. She's basically the stitches to like the storyline. Angel is what defined what being Hispanic was all about. She was exactly what I wanted to be. She wanted to be this person who embraced her culture while also being able to be who she wanted to be, which was a drag queen. Now, I may not be a drag queen, but I do definitely think that what she did in the musical was phenomenal. I personally had to jump on a table in 6-inch heels. How many men do you think can actually do that? After seeing me as this dynamic and beautiful character, my family got to see the real me who isn't afraid to show off their real colors. So although I might not be the all-star manly man with the muscles and the really cool attitude, I will still forever be the half-white, half-Hispanic, flamboyant gay man I am today.
Being Hispanic has definitely taught me the significance of being a woman, because Hispanic women have to put up with a lot of disrespect. They tell you to cook just like your mother, who cooks just like your grandmother, who cooks just like your great-grandmother, who carries the greatest recipe for flan that has ever existed. Being Hispanic essentially means being in a competition all the time, because everyone's family can cook better than the others. And the worst part for me is hearing my brothers and cousins on the couch saying, "Jess, is dinner ready yet?" Or "Ma, is dinner ready yet?" Or "Abuela, is dinner ready yet?" And they can't even tell sazon from adobo, because these gender roles are so ingrained in us. The girls are supposed to cook. We're supposed to appease the men of the house. It's traditional and proper for a Hispanic woman to be a good cook. It's traditional for the boys to sit around and wait. And if I stray from these rules, I'm accused of not being a real woman or not being a true Latina. And they tell me that I'm a white girl because I can't cook just like my mom. And neither can my brothers, but they're just boys being boys. No. Boys are not all savages. They're capable of cooking, they're capable of doing laundry, and they're capable of cleaning. That's not my job. That's not my assigned duty. And girls can't always be just like their mothers. Girls should be whatever they want to be. And if I want to be a competitive criminal lawyer or a successful politician, I will be. I'll bring home the paycheck, and the person I marry could cook.
La vida de una mujer hispana. Ay, pero ¿dónde empiezo? Muchos piensan que, ay sí, la mujer sí tiene su vida hecha, el hombre lo hace todo, él va para el trabajo, él gana todo el dinero, y la mujer que se queda en la casa, tiene que limpiar, tiene que cuidar los hijos. Ella de verdad es la que hace todo el trabajo duro. Pero, déjame decirte algo, a lo mejor en el tiempo de mi abuela así eran las cosas, pero hoy en día, no. Antes de seguir, déjame contarte una historia. Cuando yo era más chiquita, alguien me dijo, ay, pero si tú tienes el cuerpo para limpiar la casa entera. Eso fue ya hace años. No me molestó por la edad que yo tenía, pero si no me puse a pensar, yo tengo el cuerpo para limpiar la casa entera. ¿Qué quiere decir eso? Que un hombre no tiene el cuerpo para limpiar. Ellos no tienen brazos, no tienen piernas. Entonces, dime usted, porque yo de verdad no entiendo. Bueno.
Back in grammar school, I didn't like talking to anyone. I was too afraid to talk to someone. Why? Because the people made fun of who I was. They made fun of how I talked. I spoke Spanish at home before I got into school. One day, I was in the bathroom washing my hands. One of the girls in my class came in the bathroom, but I didn't really mind at all, so I didn't really pay attention. Then when I was about to leave the bathroom, she said, "Hey, come over here. I want to show you something." I didn't know what to do, and I was afraid she was going to yell at me, so I had no option, so I went up to her. Then she told me to read the word that was on the bathroom wall. I didn't know what the word was, and I didn't know it was a foul language because I never cursed when I was a kid. And when I said the word, she said, "I'm telling on the teacher, you're going to get in trouble." And she stormed out of the bathroom like flash. I felt my heart dissolving, and I said, what have I done? What did I even do? What does that word even mean? I feel so guilty right now. Then, when I walked out of the bathroom to go to my classroom, my teacher stopped me by the door, and he said, "Don't ever say that again. Understand?"
I wanted to tell the truth about what happened, but I was too afraid that the girl was going to beat me up or yell at me. So I shook my head and I kept my mouth shut. Then, when I sat back down, a boy came up to me and he said, "Why would you say that, you nasty beaner? And why are you even here? You don't belong in this country. This country is only for American citizens only." I wanted to cry and I wanted to scream at my pillow so loud that no one would hear me. But then I thought to myself, I am an American citizen, but inside of me, I have Mexican blood. And I also remember what my mom had said. She said, "Be proud of who you are. Don't be afraid, because you are more powerful than the people who bring you down." Thanks, Mom. You're the best.
In the summer before my junior year, my brother and sister and I went over to Puerto Rico to visit some family. For the first time in a while, I realized that speaking Spanish was extremely important to me. Growing up in a mostly Hispanic household, I always spoke Spanish around my family and whenever I needed to. But as I got to grammar school, I began neglecting the language and avoided using it. When I got to high school, I decided it was probably best for me to kind of start learning how to speak Spanish again. And when I was in Spanish class, I tried to pick up on whatever I could hear. As high school went on, I kind of remembered almost everything that I used to know in Spanish. When I was in Puerto Rico, my aunt used to take us over to one of her friend's house, and we spent a lot of time with two kids that were around our age. They would always make fun of me, calling me gringa or asking me, "¿Por qué no hablas español?" And I would mostly shake my head because I just didn't want to respond, even though I knew exactly how to. By the time I left Puerto Rico, I had only opened my mouth a few times to say things in Spanish, and I wasn't entirely proud of that. And I used to talk to them very often. They would ask me why I could write so well in Spanish and not speak it. And they told me that when I got back to Puerto Rico, they were going to force me to get the words out of my mouth and learn how to speak Spanish. And I agreed with them only because I knew they were right. Speaking Spanish is extremely important to me. So from that day forward, I decided that I was going to try to be more confident when it came to speaking Spanish and make sure that when I was approached with a situation where I needed to speak Spanish, I would open my mouth and do so.
I look at it like a street of buildings. In my building, there's Harriet Tubman, and then there's Sojourner Truth, and then the floors keep progressing all the way to like Loretta Lynch and President Obama. And then next to our building, there's a Hispanic building. And then next to the Hispanic building, there's an Asian building. And then down the street, there's Caucasian buildings. But none of the buildings are finished yet. And when they're finished, the world will all be equal. And our buildings will be standing as high as they possibly can.
I used to be like a vacuum cleaner when it came to food. I would eat pretty much anything that was put in front of me. I would have no problem eating the rice, beans, and pork, all the Hispanic influenced food. Then one day, everything unexpectedly changed. I found myself not wanting to eat, just a normal day when I was eating dinner with my family. The next day, I thought it would be over, but I felt the same way. I still did not want to touch it. I learned that it wasn't just the food that I didn't want to touch, it was the meat. Whether it was pork or beef, I didn't like it. Every day I faced questions like, "Since when don't you like beef?" or "A little pork won't kill you." But still I did not want to eat it. So when we went to a cousin's house, I wouldn't eat the meat, and everyone would say the same thing that my mom said. For the next year, all I heard were the haunting words, "She's not Hispanic." Soon I started to take the meat anyways, and pretend to eat it, but slip it onto my dad or my brother's plate when no one was looking, just so I wouldn't face questions. I didn't understand what people said when they said, "She's not Hispanic." I thought that being Hispanic didn't have anything to do with what you ate. I thought that it had to do with you making your own rules and doing what you wanted. That's how the whole Hispanic culture started, with people straying from the regular rules and creating their own cultures. Maybe I don't have to like meat to be Hispanic. I still am,
I still have my Hispanic family. I still act it. I just don't like to meet.
I'm not African American. Even though I look like it, I have the skin to match and the hair, I'm not African American. My dad's from the Dominican Republic. He was born and raised there, so Spanish is his first language. My mom is Puerto Rican, but she was born here, Jersey City, New Jersey. But my grandmother was born and raised in Puerto Rico, so my mom knows Spanish pretty well. People expect me to know Spanish, considering that I'm fully Spanish, but I don't, which seems to be a problem. And for a while, I thought it was a problem because I kept hearing about it. You know, oh, speaking Spanish, it's good for getting jobs, and it made me feel bad. So one day, me and my mom were Skyping family in Dominican Republic that I'd never met before. There's sisters and my grandma, my grandpa, aunts and uncles, and I don't even know their names because there's so many. And I don't feel like they're my family because I haven't lived with them or actually communicated with them properly. So when we Skype, it's uncomfortable because I don't know what to say. And my mom's very chatty and I'm not. So they started asking me basic questions in Spanish, and I understood what they were saying. I formed the answer in my head, and I put the commas where there needs to be commas, I put rest where there needs to be rest, and I edited it in my head, and it went down from my head to my mouth to the tip of my tongue, and then it stopped, and I was stuck. And suddenly I was under this beaming bright light, and I was sweating, and it was hot, and I was nervous, and I couldn't speak, and it's like I lost my voice. And at the moment, I didn't really know what that was. I didn't know why I was acting like that. I thought speaking Spanish would be like second nature to me because I lived with my grandma for a year. And I lived with her during the summer, and she speaks only Spanish. So I thought it would just come to me, but it didn't. And they laughed, and I laughed too, but I didn't think it was funny. And that's when they nicknamed me La Muda, aka the mute. And I get that it's supposed to be a joke and that it's supposed to be funny, but it wasn't a joke and it wasn't funny because it's something that I couldn't do and you were laughing at it and it made me feel bad. It made me feel really bad. And sometimes I would talk to myself in Spanish. I would read the directions on boxes in the Spanish version and it sounded fine, but once my family was in front of me, it's like a camera was in my face. And I felt nervous and I couldn't do it. And my mom always says, you can do it, you can do it, you're Spanish, it's in your blood, you're supposed to do it, you're supposed to do it. But what are you supposed to do? And that's when the question came to my head, what makes you Spanish? And it's like all of a sudden there's these qualifications that I have to meet that for some reason when I was born I was automatically signed a contract that I didn't even know of, saying what I have to do and what I can't do. And I refuse to let a race tell me what I can say, what I can do, what I can't wear, what I can speak. I'm Spanish because I am Spanish. I make up what defines Spanish. A race doesn't define me, you define you. I'm more than La Muda, I'm Xenia.
I think independent is something that really describes me. I've always been kind of different, and I think that it's part of my Hispanic side. I mean, I guess you could say. When I was younger, a lot of people told me that I couldn't be what I wanted to be because I was a Hispanic female, that I had to be the cook, the maid, the gardener, all of those things. I'm proof that I'm defying those things right now. I'm in high school, and I want to be a journalist, or if I want to be a doctor, or if I want to be a lawyer, I'm going to do all those things. My parents always told me that the only person who can judge their own future would be me, and that's what I'm doing. I think being Hispanic changed me. It's marked me as who I am. It's like the pop in my person. But also, I look at all the things that have shaped me in life, and all the bumps in the road that have marked me as what I am today. I remember when I was younger, I always looked at everything being like the impossible. But when I grew up, everything became sort of the possible things to do. I think that defying all those odds nowadays is merely in your reach. I want to change the world. And you know, a lot of people say, Hispanic women can't do that. I'm going to be the one to do that. And nowadays, like I said, nothing really is impossible. Being Hispanic made me a humble human being. It gave me the charisma that not a lot of people have, the warmth that a lot of people look to, and it made me the person I am today. I think that nowadays a lot of Hispanic people are categorized and they use stereotypes, and it's personally, it all has to change because here we're all equal. I like the fact that now we can all make a difference in some type of way, I guess. But if you don't look for change or move to do something, it won't happen. When I leave high school, I want to be that one person that walked out of here being a female leader, Hispanic leader, and especially, and say, wow, this girl made a change because she wanted to, because it was in her path. And for all the people who underestimated me at a certain point and said, this girl can't do it, well, I'm defying that. And look at me now. I'm the person I am, thanks to everything everyone has ever said to me. And all the falls that I took, I got up and dusted myself off. And that, to me, is what being Hispanic is all about.